Hey you guys, how are you? My name is David Watts, and I am an animal medic. Tonight I thought I would actually count my normally duties as podcast, and this is actually be part of a podcast. But I thought I would come to you guys tonight and tell you guys a little bit of a story of one of the calls. I actually worked for a company called Amherst Animal Ambulance, which stood for Animal Medic Emergency Response System, and we later changed the name to Animal Medics. For about 17 years before we actually kind of semi-retired the company. This is one of the ambulances that we had. At height it was 6 ambulances. And actually, we've kind of re. This ambulance is going to be going back out into service probably around June of this year, 2022. It's actually got the engine upgraded, fit. We're refurbishing stuff and restocking it, so it'll be providing services once again soon. But I want to tell you guys a story because the stories that I've come across and have done in the past 17 years have been the most heart wrenching, heartwarming, craziest, funniest stories that are to be believed, and they're all true. So I thought I would tell you guys one of the stories tonight. And if you like, you can listen to the podcast that we have on OnStage Plus. Download the app, go to OnStage Plus Originals and Animalmedics, and you can hear the stories there, as well as they're on iTunes, Google Podcasts, uh, FM, Anchor FM, all the usual suspects. And I'll start trying to make more of these stories as my schedule allows. But tonight I thought I would actually do one from one of the ambulances because normally this is all audio. I thought we'd add a little video with it. And I tell you guys about Hurricane Katrina. So I'm going to actually be doing the graphics as well here. So I'll just take that away. There we go. Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina, I believe, hit the United States in 2005. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe off there. And at that point, we had about 4 ambulance units, and we were doing about 5 to 6 calls a day. For a small ambulance company, that's not bad. And in our ambulance units, we have 2 crew members. We have a driver that's normally a veterinary technician, maybe not licensed, and we have an RVT. And then we have sometimes what's called a non-RVT or non-licensed veterinary technician. The reason we have these types of technician is we would sometimes go to UC Davis, and UC Davis, because of the critical nature of the transports we would do on the way to UC Davis, would require the pets be sedated with our propofol drips. Sometimes they were intubated, ventilated. We had to ventilate them all the way to the hospital, and when we say ventilate, that means we had to breathe for them. And sometimes they were in ketamine drips. They were basically controlled substances that only a registered veterinary technician who's licensed by the state of California could administer during the transport. Sometimes if it was trauma related, we could actually use a technician who's just got experience dealing with trauma. Trauma is load and go. At the most, you're probably going to start an IV, get some oxygen, and get them right to the hospital. That usually tends to be the same with human medicine as well. I should probably tell you my background. I worked as a veterinary technician, non-licensed, for about 4 years during my time with Animalmedics. And even though I say it was 17 years, the last 4 years I actually went back to Western Career College in the RBC program, incurred $36,000 worth of debt, but did not sit for the state finals. Yeah, yeah. Prior to that, I worked as a human paramedic in Buffalo, New York, and in Canada. And before that, I was an EMT, and I worked for Cruz Roja, which is the Mexican Red Cross, as well as I worked as an ER tech at Highland, Sutter Delta, CPMC, and San Francisco General. So I've worked on the human side and the animal side. So that's the background on me when it comes to pre-hospital emergency medicine. So if I start to go back and forth, just understand I'm taking my human side with my animal side, and sometimes they get crossed up. Okay. So when Hurricane Katrina hit, it was crazy. I mean, you would see all these things on the news, like, oh my God, this happened and this is going on and that's happened. You watch on the news like it was a war, like, oh my God, these people are stuck on the freeways, and then they're at this like, was the Thunderdome or the like this big cow palace thing that people were living in, and people were dying out there. It's like, oh my God. A reporter contacted one of the nonprofit companies, and it was a lady on. She's still on Facebook, Karen Kopp. Never forget her. And contacted her and said, "Hey, do you guys know of any rescue efforts or anything that can be done that's going on there? It'd be a great human interest story." And she happened to say, "Well, I know of a pet ambulance company that might be willing to send some pets back there, some ambulances back there, rather. Excuse me, not pets. They had no pets." And they came out and interviewed us, and I said, "Well, yeah, absolutely." They said, "Well, what would it take?" I said, "Well, we're small, we don't have really money, but if somebody would kind of fund it." Karen had a 501c3, and so they were the fiscal agent. And so we probably within, I want to say within 3 days, we had enough for two complete teams, two fully stocked ambulance units, and I'm talking stocked to the rafters with donations. I mean, people were sending bolt cutters and bandages. I mean, there was so much stuff in the ambulance that it was like you couldn't see. Like, this is one of the ambulances. This is on Unit 212, and this is one of the ambulances, and it was like up to here. I kid you not, with equipment, and we were supposed to go down there and use what we wanted. We could donate the rest. It was crazy. So we were going into Louisiana, so we actually went southern. We went from here down through LA and then down into New Mexico. And the reason we went to New Mexico is because we went to the Navajo Nation reservation where we were to pick up two, two, two or three more veterinary technicians who actually had experience with equine and emergency, really like emergency medicine. They were like the tops in their area. I don't know how this got hooked up. We were gonna pick them up. They got in the ambulance, and we were going to Katrina. So we're driving down there, and I actually wind up getting a flat. Now at the time, we had two ambulances. We took down there. This is a van type. We had another one which was called a modular. Now the modular ambulance, if you've ever seen the ambulances with the big square boxes, and they've got what's called dualies on the back. So it's two wheels here, two in the front. And this ambulance had like what's called like EMS tires. Now I didn't understand what exactly that was until we actually got down to LA, and I'm trying to get this fixed, and we find out that, oh, this tire is going to be a good $600. Why? It's an EMS tire. It's like a run flat. What's a run flat? Oh, like when you get a flat, it keeps running for like 50 miles. Those things are expensive. I'm like, oh my God. So I don't know what to do. Called Karen. Thank God they gave us a ATM card. I'm like, well, we're going into the belly of the beast. I don't know what we're going to do. Okay. Run flats all the way around. You get a run flat. You get a run flat. So basically, both ambulances were outfitted with run flat tires. So we loaded up, we got that and everything, and now we're on our way. And it was really strange because as you exited California, going down, I kid you not, and I don't know if this was just the hurricane actually had hit 2 weeks prior to the date we left. So the damage had really been done. This is the aftermath. We weren't going, and it was active hurricane. But I guess it had been moving because remember when it hit Louisiana, and it basically went through to Texas and started kind of fizzled out, kind of going west. So as we're now going east, right, going east, going through the south, we can literally see the skies darkening. And I kid you, it's the most surreal thing. As we picked up, first, let me back up. We got to Navajo Nation. If you've never been on I hate to say an Indian reservation because this is all Native American land. Let's just get that straight first of all. This is all their land. But the Navajo Nation, when you get there, there is a checkpoint. And it says you are entering sovereign territory. They have their own police force, their own government, their own hospitals, their own laws. You fuck around, you break them. Here's the laws. Literally, here's the laws. It wasn't a lot, but it was like you mess around, you will wind up in jail. And don't be trying to think, yo, I'm gonna call my congressman. No, fuck up, okay, and see, fuck up and see. So much respect for Native Americans. I have like 1/10% Native American in my blood, so I was all like, oh my god, is my, I'm just so excited. I'm like, oh my god, so disciplined. These guys, we got there, introduced themselves, and it wasn't like, hi, my name is Running Wildfeather. I am bored, killer. It wasn't nothing like that. It was like, hi, my name is Greg. Hey, this is Anna. That's Tom. You know, and we're gonna be rolling with you. I mean, it's badass. You can imagine a like, I want to say like an all-star team of veterinary technicians. Those Navajo technicians, they were it. They were badass. I mean, they had their shit. They were ready, man. So they got in the ambulance. So we've got a technician, a driver, another tech. Then there's another. You got the tech we just picked up from the Navajo Nation and this ambulance. The other ambulance, which is square, was bigger. It could actually hold 7 people. So we had 3 techs over there, 2 techs over there. So altogether, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 of us, 9 people. So we're going, and we're driving, and now we're getting into Texas. And the funny thing I noticed was like, wow, really? The gas prices dipped. I'm like, why are we paying so much in California? I'm filling up. I'm filling up. Oh my God, this is so great. Filling up everything. And so we're driving through Texas, and it starts to rain a little harder. Like, oh shit, this is getting real. Okay, we're driving through. Now, um, you guys aren't gonna believe this. So, New Orleans, which of course is where a lot of damage was done. We were actually went to the fairgrounds. We were based at the fairgrounds right outside of New Orleans. The veterinary hospital was about 40 minutes outside away from the fairgrounds. So basically, you were staged at the fairgrounds, and then they would give you your assignment. I'll get to that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically, we're driving everything. We notice that the clouds are getting darker and darker. And so somebody goes, watch for tornadoes. Tornadoes. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. When I was 12 years old, I came to California with my mom. I don't know nothing about tornadoes. I was just accepting the fact that we had earthquakes. Okay? Now you're talking about tornadoes? Funnel clouds? Okay. I'm like, okay. And I tell you, you guys, it's surreal. We're on the freeway, 2 ambulances, and it's empty. It's empty. And you see all these cars backed up going the other direction. Which makes you wonder, it's counterintuitive because you're like, why in the hell am I going? What do they know? I thought this was over 2 weeks ago. Y'all, what the hell? So we keep going. So we basically arrived at the campgrounds at about 1:30 in the morning. We arrived at the campgrounds at 1:30 in the morning, and it is bustling. Let me tell you, it's like the campgrounds never sleep. They had VMAT there. Now, VMAT is the government arm of the Veterinary Medical Assistance Teams. I didn't even know there was a such thing. I didn't know. VMAT was basically the government saying, we're in control of this, we're going to do this, okay, we're got to control. They had set up their like mass shooting hospitals, everything, so they're like, okay, you guys are here. They assigned us, they said, first we got there, they said, this your ambulance? I see these 2 are. They said, is there any way we can commandeer this ambulance? What do you mean commandeer? No, we're not going to take it or anything. We like it to stay here so we can do emergency surgeries in it. Oh, shit. What, I'm going to say no? Sure. So now we got one ambulance. One ambulance, right? 9 technicians, one ambulance. So no sooner I said that, when you're taking equipment out of there and everything, and you guys need this. I kid you not, it was like bringing sand to the beach. We brought bandage and everything, and they got like not just buckets, but like warehouses of bandages, everything. Why did we bring this stuff? What do we think? There was not going to be any kind of first aid supplies or anything there? What the hell? So I felt a little like, well, hey, we brought this. So they said, oh, you guys can keep that. We got enough. So we basically put it over in the area. Now, here's the thing. There's nowhere to sleep. There was no, all the hotels, had been like, so FEMA comes in and basically had reserved all the hotels. I'm talking about all the hotels from like the Texas state line through Louisiana, through Georgia. I mean, everything was like reserved, was like booked. So you pretty much had to sleep in the ambulance or outside of it. That was it. So we got there, and they had already commandeered one of the ambulances. We were all kind of like, either you slept in the ambulance, but it was really hot out. It was really hot out, or we slept outside. And the Navajo technicians had sleeping bags. We didn't think about bringing sleeping bags because we just assumed we were going to be in a hotel. California. First world problems. Anyway, so it was very hot. I kid you not. It probably like around 1 o'clock in the morning. It must have been like 90, maybe 100 degrees. They had these things called love bugs. These things called love bugs. And what it is, I guess it's two bugs. They kind of join. I don't know if they're mating or whatever, but they're attracted to human sweat. So you get on you, like hit it, and then of course you mush it. But they always just want to get on you. Let's get on you. Oh my God, it was insane. Right there for 40, like, so first day, next day we get up, 6 in the morning. It's like reveille, like literally, it's like an alarm. Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, what the fuck? So everybody gathers at this mass thing, and you got people from New York, Florida, the government VMAT. You got people from Texas. Everything, every state was represented, right? And here it is. We're the pet ambulance company, which is really cool because we were the only pet ambulance company, which were one ambulance, but everybody else had trucks. You got, veterinary technicians, you got veterinary control officers. I mean, it was like everybody you could think of, right? So they said, okay, you're going to be given a sector. Basically, what happens is you go into New Orleans, you have a sector, you have to get certain requirements for the animals that you will take and relocate to, oh God, I was on the tip of my tongue, basically the veterinary hospital. It was starting with an L, I think. To the veterinary hospital. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself again. If the pet is wet, you cannot bring them with you. They're considered contaminated. Let me tell you why. New Orleans has a water table, which is why when they bury people in mausoleums, they have mausoleums basically. They cannot dig 6 feet underground. They will hit water. When Hurricane Katrina came, it knocked over all the mausoleums and uprooted all the graves. So you had a lot of biohazard stuff floating around, and you had dogs that were, sorry, think about it. You had dogs who were thirsty, who were drinking and eating the remains of corpses because they don't know. They dogs. They gotta survive. You got that wolf instinct, right? So they said if a dog is wet, you do not get it. It's contaminated, and the military will deal with it. What the military gonna do? Deal with it. So I was like, okay, we can't bring wet dogs. Okay, that's what VMAT told us. But every other dog, when we get it, if it's labor breathing, we had this whole like list. Labor breathing, if we can stabilize it, give it oxygen on site, transport it to LSU. LSU, there we go. LSU. That was the veterinary hospital. That's where we take it. Transport to LSU. If it needed emergency care, we transported to right outside of New Orleans to like they had this like imagine these big pop-up tents and they had like a veterinary technician, like 5 veterinary technicians, and maybe 1 or 2 doctors, like a mash unit. I kid you not, like little mash units for veterinary situations. Get it there. They would try to stabilize it. Go to LSU, right? So we got our orders. We were going to be in. You can only be inside the city. Now here's the thing: you can only be inside the city for about 4 to 5 hours. You could not be in the city after dark. They said they could not guarantee your safety. I said, what does that mean? Well, no, what do you mean? What does that mean? He said basically there were people who did not evacuate when they were told to evacuate, and subsequently there are roving gangs. You could get robbed. You could get raped. You could get both, men and women. So during the day, this is where you at. When it starts getting toward that time, make your way out, and you have to go back in the next day. So we go to the checkpoint, and I kid you not, got this guy, 16, everything, papers, and I'm looking. I'm like, oh, okay, here's the papers we're going. Like he's looking to see where we're supposed to go in the city. And I look at this thing, and it says Canada. Well, it's odd. Okay, all right. Let them pass. Let them pass. They got they guns. They little gate thing. We go into the city. So we go into the city and we're looking and we see dogs running around. Some dry, some not. Basically though, we got towels because what one of the veterinarians told us is take some towels. You see a dog and it looks like it's hurt or whatever, and you use your best judgment, dry them off. Don't leave them for the military to do what they're gonna do, because the military is just gonna kill them. They're gonna kill them. So we see a dog, and of course dogs are skittish. Some that have had owners come over here, they come over there, they're happy to see people, but some that are strays are like, nah, nah, you know. So we're trying to round up dogs, and okay, let's get this one. So now what happens is, remember we had a team of 9 technicians. You got 9 people in this ambulance. So we say, here's what we're gonna do. We go all roll up in this ambulance like we SWAT. Then we'll get out. 3 go over 2 blocks this way, 3 go over 2 blocks this way, and 3 go over 2 blocks this way. And the ambulance go stay right here. And so what happens is we got cell phones. You call, say, hey, I need the ambulance. That's where to go. But everybody hears everybody's number, da da da, right? So that's what we did, because we only had 1 ambulance at that point. We only remember they commandeered one from day one when we first got there. So we're doing that, and all of a sudden, you there's such a mix. There was such a mix of veterinary technicians. You had old technicians, you had young technicians, you had seasoned, you had some who had just still in school. And so I say that to say there was, when you were going into a situation, you have to have what's called situational awareness. And that goes for everything. I mean, if you go out to a club with your homeboys, with your girlfriend, always have situational awareness. Women know you don't leave your drink at the counter, go to the bathroom, then come back and drink your drink. You will wind up missing a kidney and probably pregnant. Okay? Situational awareness. Know your situation, right? So we see this dog, and the dog is like by this fence, and it's like, and it's looking back at the fence, looking back at the fence. So we're walking, and all of a sudden, this lady, she goes, oh, come here, and she goes like that, and the dog is barking, barking, and then he gets to the fence, and she goes, oh, we gotta get it, and she runs in. First mistake. Do not separate. Where you going? You don't know what are you doing? Somebody go after her, right? So I'm like, damn it, and I'm like, man, normally, um, excuse me. Normally, I'd be like, what the fuck is the matter with you? Right? But I'm trying to be professional. Somebody go after her, right? I'm gonna go get the ambulance, right? So the ambulance sitting there. I go get the ambulance, right? Because I'm like, she done ran down the street around the block, and I'm like, I don't know what she about to run into, but if I don't even run in there, if I ran into around down the street around the block and run into a rape gang, I need to get the fuck out of there. You know what I'm saying? Because all I got is some bandages and oxygen and stuff, and I ain't got not near a gun up in this ambulance. So, hey, and I seen Pulp Fiction. If you know, you know. No, that ain't happening. Sorry, Ving Rhames, that ain't happening. No Ving Rhames things up in here. So I'm like, okay, somebody we go after her, we get in here, and we see her, she has a gate, and she's at this gate, the dog is basically right under the gate, and she's trying to reach over the gate, she runs in the gate. And so I've got one of the Navajo technicians, he's like, looked at me and just like looked like, stupid white man. You know? I said, see, this is that shit. This is that shit. That's why scary movies, they always be the ones getting got. Because of this shit. Shit like this. Right? The Native American and the black dude, no, hang back. No, we're not going there, son. But of course, she running anyway. So we go in there, so we finally go in there, into the gate, the door's open, the dog is stopped. And so I called the other technicians. I said, hey, you guys, we got a dog here. We're going over. So I guess a few of the other techs hadn't have any progress or luck seeing the other ones. So now we got about 6 people now at this house. The dog is in the middle of the kitchen, barking at the ceiling. Roof, roof, roof. Looking like, roof, roof. And I'm like, oh, damn. She goes, oh, come here, buddy, like that. The dog is not moving. She's like, okay, come on. The dog is not moving. He's like, ruff, ruff. Like, I'm trying to tell you something, stupid. Something is up here, right? So, yeah, the ceiling was okay, let me back up a little. So basically, when a house fills with water, you get what's called water lines when it starts to recede, right? Water lines of how high the water was up. So I'm looking at the water lines. I'm like, this shit was already like, this house was underwater at one point. So as we're seeing, I see the mold. Then I looked over, and I see pictures on the wall. The dog is in the picture. This dog lives here. This is not some dog who just smells some food and everything. This dog lives here. Oh shit. We look at the ceiling and it's one of those little, like a trap door. Like you push it up and you can open it and you can bring some stairs down, right? Now, this is where shit gets kind of crazy at. So basically, when the police gave the order, sheriff gave the order for people to evacuate when Hurricane Katrina was approaching, some people were like, I'm going to pack up, I'm going to leave. Some people was like, nah, son, I'm going to stay here. And because it was mandatory evacuations, they were like, if you can't find me, you can't make me leave. So people hid in crawl spaces, they hid in their basements, or whatever. And the sheriff, because they're being taxed, they're like knocking on the door, mandatory evacuations, hello, sheriff's department. They got the flashlight in there, everybody looking there, hello, anybody here? But nobody answer. They closed the door, and they put a 0 on the house, which meant no occupants. No occupants. So what happens is, when they do their final sweep through, they can just look at the house and go, there's no occupants on here, okay. Oh, there's one person over here, maybe they're elderly, maybe they can't walk, we need to go and make sure we get them out. So, we lift up the trap door, and some cans of food fall out. And she's like, oh, look, she's just hungry, she can smell the food. Dogs have a very acute sense of smell, but I don't think this dog was trying to smell ravioli and spaghetti through a can. I don't think that's what the fuck. Like that. So as we start to do it, we start to see more stuff up there, right? So once again, the SWAT team, and I say this about the Native American technician, he goes, hold on, let me get something. He gets a chair. He stands up with a chair and he gets a ladder. Not a ladder, excuse me. He gets on the chair with a flashlight. And he looks up there. And I'm like, what do you see? What do you see? All of us are down there like, what do you see? And the dog is looking like, just wait for it. And he goes, no joke, no joke. He jumped down, he threw up. At this point, I didn't want to know what he saw. Because if he throwing up, and he's like the one that's like hardcore made of steel, I can just imagine. Then he goes, you need to call body reclamation, or the people that pick up the bodies. Oh, that's another thing too. This is some Schindler's List shit. So He said, you need to call the police people, right? So I'm like, okay, right? So he said, there's a dead body up there. I'm like, oh shit. So we call the police and everything, and they go, okay, where are you at? So we're there for about 30 minutes. This dump truck, dump truck pulls up, and it's got bodies, tarp, bodies, tarp, bodies, because there was so many. Just keep in mind, when they were getting bodies, they just weren't getting bodies of people that died. They were getting bodies of people that had been dead in the cemetery. You know what I'm saying? Shit that was floating around. Because you had to get that up too. And sometimes you would try to reclaim, like if it was in the house, oh, this is who was there, you try and trace it back. But what do you do if this person has been dead for like 100 years? What do you do? You look at, okay, she's dressed in like a period piece in the 1800s. She was probably dead 100 years ago, and her mausoleum got flooded, and she floated on down, the main boulevard or whatever, right? So we get in there, and I go, one of the technicians think there's a body in here, and the guy goes, hold on, everybody stand back, everybody move out the place. He goes out, he gets this shit, I don't know, like a spear with a hook on it, kind of things like the firefighters use, and he says, poking at the ceiling like that, like ripping it down, ripping it down, ripping it down. All of a sudden, poof, two bodies fall from out the ceiling. They were in the attic. So what he said, what he surmised had happened was when the mandatory evacuations happened, these two pet owners opened the doors and let their dogs go, just like go, 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 go. And the dogs ran out and ran free. They figured their dogs would be safe because they're running free. And they got up in the attic and they got some food. They like, we gonna ride this out. We ain't going nowhere. But when the water came, it came in and flooded the house. So guess what? They drowned. Because now you can't like go out because if you go even go out, the pressure of trying to even open up the door is against you because you got pressure on it now. You can't even open it up, and then where you drown, you drowned. They died there amongst all this food, but the pets knew where they were. The pets went away, wherever they went. But then the pets, of course, okay, let me go back. Some breeds can smell an owner coming. They sit up to 10 miles away, since the smell is acute. So the pets knew where they lived. Everything was cool. The pet came back like, what's going on? My owner's up there. Not knowing they did alive, I can smell my owner. Like literally. So he came, he got him. He said, all right, this is the address thing. They took the bodies, which were really like decomposing at this point, because of course they were bloated and everything. And it's so sad because the dog is, looking kind of like whining and everything. Then we take the dogs, we had tag them, we took them to the, not the LSU, we took them to the fairgrounds, because in the fairgrounds, dogs that weren't owned, well, all the dogs were there. Dogs that came from LSU, have surgery, or whatever, were brought there, and then, of course, people that wanted to reunite with their pets would come there and be reunited with their pets. Or for those whose owners had passed away, these pets were actually wind up being shipped off. Funny story, about 98% of the pets that had no owners from Hurricane Katrina got adopted. It's really funny. I thought it was weird because you don't normally get those kind of adoption ratios, but people just gravitated toward here's a pet who's lost its owner, they need a home. And I guess it was a story because people was just adopting those pets like crazy. Anyway, so they put the people right on a little tarp, put him on the body, cover it with the tarp, and he goes on down the road to pick up the next bodies. I'm like, what in the hell? So at this point, it's starting to get dark. I said, you know what? I said, we need to get out of here. We can't be here after dark. And somebody said, well, let's go over before we have to definitely get out of here. I always wanted to see what it looks like at our French Quarter, right? And I'm like, look, everything in this whole city is all fucked up. We just want to get back to where we're supposed to go back to this hot ass heat. Let's get back to the fairgrounds. And we see lights. And I'm talking about lights like like Vegas. You ever seen? Oh yeah, you ever been going to Vegas and you coming out of like from California and it's real dark and all of a sudden you come over the hill and you see those lights and you like, oh shit! Somebody just dropped the whole city in the middle of the desert. That's Vegas. That's what it looked like. I saw lights and I was like, well shit, somebody got electricity? So we going over there and I kid you not, CNN, NBC, ABC, TBS, um, oh shit, what's Al Jazeera, all the news trucks, all the satellite trucks, everybody's there, and all these military, I kid you not, Canadian military, French military, British military. Who else did I see? I saw Canadian, French, British, God, who else? Japanese. Who else did I see? Like everybody, every ally of the United States was in fucking Louisiana. And I said, one thing I really didn't see a lot of, I said, we're the American military. And the guy was like, man, they ship most of them over to Iraq. And this is before the whole Iraq thing. This is just like, what the hell? So they needed military presence. So, now there's a thing called posse comitatus, which means we can have our own military on our soil enforcing against our citizens. But I guess you can have other military to come in to actually help with the laws or whatever. So there was so many different military there. It was like, man, but everybody was cool as a fan. I'm telling you, you're like, wow. It's like you would never see it. It was almost like something out of Imagine, like Apocalypse Now or something, where it's like a war zone. Everything is all fucked up. But these guys are used to this. They used to being in like war things, so they're not tripping. And especially not getting shot at. They know they on Bourbon Street, and whatever reason, somebody done got some generators, so some of the bars are open. They sit back there just drinking, and I'm just like, this is crazy. So we had a few drinks, then we got our butts back to the campgrounds. Just so happens that night, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, here goes our second night. It's like probably 110 degrees. This is probably the one time that I've said thus far, thank God for the federal government. All of a sudden, they were like, we need you to move your ambulance. We need everybody to move over. We got to put some stuff, we're having some things delivered. And I said, okay, so we moved the ambulance to like this back about, I don't know, 300 yards, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden came these 10 huge trucks. They just came in there and they offloaded. I, well, they were tents, but you guys, oh, you should have seen it. It was badass. I'm telling you, they came in there, offload these things, and put up these tents, put up these generators, and then the guy literally pressed the button. He said, woof, and the thing went woof. Then, because it was like around 50 soldiers came in here, put cots in there, everything. I mean, it was like military precision, like boom, 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 like one building up, cots, boom. Second building up, cots, boom. Third building up, cots, boom. Like that. They got in the truck, boom, and they were gone. Then the guy came over and said, okay. He said, you guys will be in building A. He said, this is your assignment. Went in there. There were latrines or toilets inside, and it was all air conditioned. It was all air conditioned, baby. It was non-stop air conditioned. And if you've ever been in a humid, muggy environment, and you got the damn love bugs and everything, and you can't even take a shower or nothing, and all of a sudden, now you get portable showers and bathrooms, and it's air conditioned, and then they got you cots. It was making you want to cry. I was like, oh my God, yes, yes. So, yeah. So for the rest of the time there, that's where we were living. It was much more bearable, much more bearable. We wound up being there for about 2 weeks, and then we shipped off. We returned back to California. We went back to the Navajo Nation. We dropped off the technicians with much thanks, with much thanks, and I said I was going to keep in touch. As life goes on, things happen. But I pray to this day, and I will forever be grateful to those men and women because they did the damn thing. They were badass. But That's my experience with Hurricane Katrina. There's some other stories, but we'd be here all night, so I'll save that for another time. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope you like these podcasts and these stories, Memoirs of an Animal Medic, and I hope you will tune in. We are actually looking at hopefully June and July, doing a new series called Memoirs of an Animal Medic. We'll be doing reenactments of different stories that different calls we've done, turn them into stories. And like I said, the Animal Medic service is going to be back up this summer and be back serving the people of the San Francisco Bay Area. So that's great. And you know, all's well that ends well, I guess. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you've enjoyed this as much as I have enjoyed telling you. And God bless. And I hope to see you again. I'll try and do these once every week. So I'll try and do another one next Saturday. I know Sunday, but I'll try and do one next Saturday as well. Same time, same bad channel. I'm giving away my age. If you know what that means, you know. All right. Take care. God bless. I'll talk to you soon.